Welcome home. We are WNST, AM 1570, Towson, Baltimore. We are Baltimore positive. I'm trying to get my new scratch-offs out here. I have the Holiday Luck Doublers. I saved the $5 ones for the eggnog season. Mac Campbell from the Baltimore Convention Center is our guest. Alan McCallum, our defending champion of all things Baltimore Orioles. Man, I've been at this all day. I haven't eaten enough. I had a little salad. We're here at Amici's of Little Italy. They do not have a crab cake. Mac found that out when he ordered one here earlier. Should have gotten the meatballs or the chicken parm.
Their mozzarella sticks were really good, though.
Holidays, to me, it's about friends, it's about family, it's about sports, it's about bringing people together, loved ones, eggnog, crab cakes, all these things. Mac is somebody I've been trying to get on a little bit. I've been inviting you down. You've been with me at Fadley's. You did Ocean City with me. He runs a convention center. I met you about 2 years ago. The night I met Mac, he's like, I know Alan McCallum really well. And I'm like, well, that's great. You must be a good guy if you know Alan. So I know you guys know each other, and I've talked to both of you about each other, but I've never seen you in the same room together. Right. But you swear you're like really good friends. So, being the Grinch that I am, you agreed to come to Amici's, and then I corralled Alan into picking Amici's, even though they have cheese here, and he doesn't like cheese.
I love Amici's.
I know you love Amici's, but you just don't want cheese on it.
That's correct.
Correct. So I put the two of you together, and Mac said, I can come at 3 o'clock. And Alan said, I can come at 4 o'clock. And I'm like, nah, that's not good. I was using fake excuses. I don't lie, but I fibbed. I was trying to figure out a way to get both of you here together and not have you know it. Mm-hmm. Did it work?
I literally was sitting at the bar texting him to show a picture of you guys broadcasting as he walked in the door.
And I saw him, I was like, oh.
So, yeah.
Chestnuts roasting on an open fire.
Well, see, so here's the other thing. And I'm pretty sure
Jack Frost nipping at your nose.
The first time I met you was in the ticket office at Strathmore. You hadn't started working yet. And I think we're almost exactly at 20 years ago.
No, 20 years you guys have known each other.
Yeah.
Well, I met Mac 2 summers ago at the beach, and he told me he knew Alan. And I knew it was a long-standing Strathmore-based friendship.
Yeah.
But you've gone on to different circles. You're running the Baltimore Convention Center. You're down at the Kennedy Center, living in D.C. and doing all that D.C. traffic. But we're all brought together by the Orioles and by the offseason and by the holidays. And you like the Caps. I'm going to let you do your Caps thing. Man, the Preds are in last place. What's Trotz doing down there? Hey. No wonder I can't get a phone call back. What's going on, man? What got into the Caps? How are they this good?
Hey, it needed a year of getting used to the new coach, man.
Well,
it's good stuff.
Should have never got rid of Trotz, but that's another story altogether. And then there's baseball for you,
which
I haven't had you on in a couple of weeks. The last time I had you on, we thought they were signing Soto and giving Burns a lifetime.
I don't think that I've ever.
Dude,
I don't think anybody's ever said that.
Where are you on the baseball thing? Because he's going to be kayfabe and play nice with the Orioles. But you, what is this offseason? We were expecting more. That's all I'm saying.
Look, first thing, Juan Soto. Juan Soto's a great hitter. Gets on base a lot. Hits home runs. Looked great in front of Aaron Judge last year. $765 million for what he does.
That's your money. I keep going back to this. We're all spending Ruben. He's a billionaire. Mm-hmm. He can afford nice things. This isn't Angelos anymore. That's where I am on it.
The owner of the Mets couldn't. It's. I think they said something like the equivalent of $4,000 per what the dollars that he has for Juan Soto. He that fell out of his pocket. He couldn't care.
Well, that's the point. The point is make the team better. And I don't think they look. I'm not saying they should have signed Juan Soto. I'm saying they should be telling everyone the payroll's going up, the expectations are going up, everything's going up. They're not.
The Orioles
they're not doing anything this offseason.
The Orioles were never going to sign Juan Soto. Let's just get that out of the way. It never even entered my thought process. The reason why the fact that it's not my money doesn't matter is that Shohei Ohtani is arguably the greatest player who's ever lived. I mean, I can make that argument right now today. Juan Soto is not that guy. His defense is mediocre. He can't run. 6-7 years from now, he's going to be DH.
You're glad you're not a Mets fan.
Yeah. Ultimately, while they weren't going to sign Juan Soto, they can sign Anthony Santander. They could sign for sign Corbin Burnes. Now, I can make an argument for why they shouldn't sign Corbin Burnes, because when pitchers like Max Fried or Juan Soto, when these contracts get dealt out, ultimately, these teams know that 10 years down the road, 15 in the case of Soto, they know these contracts are going to be losers.
Well, Luke doesn't like the Corbin Burnes thing because every year, the last 4 years, there's been some real.
If you look at his actuals, the
balls are hitting bats. A lot of things are going on.
And just last year, as good as he was, August of 2024 should have given everyone who wants to sign Corbin Burnes some real pause, because he was horrible for the month of August.
Well, Adley Rutschman's been horrible too, and so for guys that go through, I'm horrible for a minute or two. The bigger picture for me is, what is the real sales strategy here to pack your convention center, to pack the city?
Absolutely.
Those 10,000 empty seats in the upper, I'm never going to give that up because it hurt me. It bothered me. It bothered me on behalf of the players. It bothered me on behalf of the city. It was a bad look for the city, for the franchise, for the owner, for the team. It was just a bad look, and I don't want that to happen again. I want them to be better than that.
I'm not telling you that there aren't reasons to be concerned, but I'm telling you, and I think Lucas said it to you too, there are a lot of other factors involved in how they happen. For example, that the left field concourse like that at Camden Yards, it often ends up being the tickets that ticket brokers buy, that the Orioles leave open for them to buy, because it makes them money, but those tickets don't get sold because sometimes it's fraud, sometimes they're just overpriced. All those things come into play. So it's not just that people didn't want to show up. And then the Orioles have another problem where they don't actually open their box office enough for it to be a thing that people can easily get to, unless it's 3 hours before the game, to say, I'm down here, I'm interested in seeing what games you have. You can't do that there. So there are a lot of issues.
You can do that on your phone. I can buy tickets for every game right now with one click.
You say that, but there are a lot of baseball fans who are these old.
They need to find ones that have mobile phones. They need to find young people.
Let me tell you something.
They need to find people with your skin tone and my skin tone, not his.
Well, that's
they don't have enough of that.
I went to Toronto.
By the way, Alan's Hispanic and I'm African American. No, I'm just keep going.
I went to Toronto, and I literally could not buy a ticket at the box office at game time. I had to do it on my phone. I couldn't do it. And then, I didn't know this, I have a VPN on my phone.
He steals cable. Go ahead.
That is not what I said.
Okay.
And I didn't know that you have to turn that off to buy tickets, which I found out.
Why? Location?
It's a location thing. And if they can't guarantee, they can't confirm your location, then they think that you are a con artist, basically.
Okay.
Had no idea. But
is this like, are you a robot? Check the box.
That is exact. That
Okay.
is my point. Is that there?
How many bicycles in this picture?
It's often how many buses, how many motorcycles, how many sets of stairs, how many bridges. The whole deal.
I always get it wrong.
Well, there's always
I always miss Waldo. It was always Waldo in there.
Always a little piece of the motorcycle sticking out, and I'm like, do I click on that? Because technically that's it.
There is nothing that hurts a person's self-esteem than failing one of those tests.
If I would have known Vanilla Ice was going to perform on Monday Night Football and I would see it on Tuesday, I would have watched Monday Night Football last night. I'm just saying.
I thought he was renovating houses.
I don't know what he's doing. He sang on the show one time.
Ultimately, I can make an argument for why you don't sign Corbin Burnes, but if you trade for Corbin Burnes and you know you've got 1 year left on his deal, and then you don't make any real effort to sign him, where's the value in that? Look, all these people that say Mike Elias.
The value is he pitched one playoff game, right? I mean, that's really what you got out of it.
All the people saying that Mike Elias should be fired are just ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm not hearing that.
It's just ridiculous. But there's clearly a schizophrenic nature to what he's doing. I was all for you build the organization through position players, because pitching is such a barrel of monkeys. You don't know what you're going to get out of it. And then, to do that, you have to then trade your stockpile, some of it, for pitching.
Well, they did that.
You say that, but he doesn't want to give up any of his toys. So if you're not going to spend money on the free agent market and you're not going to give up any of your guys.
Well, I mean, if you're going to trade Jackson Holiday for Skubal on July 31st,
Right.
But they're not giving up on the young players because of the money involved.
I understand.
Because having players on the cheap is what this organization still feels like it needs to do. And you'd say, well, every organization needs to do that. I'm not disagreeing with that. I just think there needs to be a baseline of expectations with new ownership to stand in front of the fan base and say, here's what we're going to do, and here's how we're going to do it, and they haven't done that yet.
3 or 4 days ago, Rockabacco wrote on Masson, if you thought the Orioles were going to be high rollers at signing Corbin Burns or Max Fried, you were kidding yourselves. Mike Elias, 2 days before that, said, we're in on everybody. So the expectation is there because Mike Elias is building that, but he's not acting like that. I guess the point is, if David Rubenstein bought the Orioles and is going to let this continue, then there's some question marks. There was also an article that came out in the Sports Illustrated universe that talked about Mike Elias and his unwillingness, despite the fact that.
Oh, that was stupid. Yeah, that wasn't real.
That's fine.
Yeah, I mean, I see so much crap on the internet that's just not.
My point is, ultimately,
doesn't pass my journalism
you
test.
You have to make some clear movement in terms of how you're going to do this. And if the idea is, well, we're going to trade for pitching, but only for 1 year, that doesn't make sense.
See, you're talking about making the team better. I'm talking about selling the confidence level of the customers. You know what I'm saying? Like that to me is more than just what players we're going to sign or not, because you're not in control. The one thing that I keep hearing about, we're saving the money for Gunnar Henderson. All right, what if he doesn't sign here? What if he's not good? What if Adley Rutsch? Like, I'm not playing this game of we're going to keep $600 million around for our star player because we let Machado go last time. When the time comes for Gunnar Henderson to decide where he's going to play, it's going to be things like 10,000 empty seats in the upper deck. It's going to be things like you didn't sign Corbin Burns and you signed some $13 million 35-year-old Japanese guy nobody'd ever heard of, and it didn't work out. Now, if they win the World Series, it's different. But if it doesn't work out, they haven't given themselves any cover, and they certainly don't feel like they're being operated in a different fashion.
If you're Gunnar Henderson, there's no reason to believe that you're going to sign that contract. And frankly, we've talked about this for years. It makes sense to me if I've said on multiple occasions, Orioles fans need to get used to the idea that this is a factory and they're pumping out players and letting the others go because it's cost effective to do that. Now, if the goal is to sign your own players, which Anthony Santander might not believe is the case right now, then why, with your Gunnar Henderson, would you believe that money's going to be there for you? Because the Orioles aren't showing any signs that that's what they're planning or willing to do.
Well, you know as well as I do from covering the team. Alan McCallum is our guest, Mac Campbell for the Baltimore Convention Center here. When I would go to a play, I was a dumb fan, right, as a kid, right? Even as a journalist, I thought the players were, like, in the loop. I thought, like, if I had an interview with a player, they would know what's going on. Players never know what's going on in any sport ever. I think fans don't really realize that like, even if you're Gunnar Henderson, you might as well be the intern in your office because there's no clout for any of the players to know anything that's going on, and they gossip better than anybody amongst each other. And I would think the gossip that day in their playoff game where they're getting booted with 10,000 empty seats up in the outfield, probably not a good thing amongst the players themselves to say, what's going on here? I mean, they knew Angelos was no good, and we all knew Angelos was no good. We all of us who love the Orioles have to have a higher bar than what we've had the last 30 years. And that's just on the face of, well, he's a billionaire. He's from Baltimore. He seems like a nice guy. He owns the Magna Carta. How could he be? Nothing's happened. You know, so... And everybody sees that nothing's happened. And I think there was this strange expectation that I would get my press pass back, but that they would just operate differently. That in regard to everyone, in regard to everything, that they would want to erase all of that for the benefit of having it erased so we could start from scratch. And part of that would be this level of communication and investment and a strategy and a buy-in and a winter carnival, and just something.
Look,
something.
I don't want the Orioles to be the organization that runs out and spends crazy money on players just because they have a name and they are going to cost a lot. That shouldn't be who we are.
But you need a pitcher.
But you need a pitcher. And I will say this, and I know that obviously Scott Boras, his whole MO is delay. But if you're the Orioles and you don't want to spend a lot of money, then I think you jump out early. Identify players that you can afford who are going to fit your model, and you sign them early because
Give Westberg some money now, right? Is what you're saying?
Well, no. I'm talking about free agents.
Okay.
They did it with O'Neal, but if Nate Eovaldi is a guy you want, then you've got to go out and get him before Max Fried signs his contract, before Juan Soto signs his contract. You give him more than he's expecting to get, but not as much as you can afford to bring him in. That way, ultimately, you're not a slave to the model that's going to exist 3 weeks from now. You create what you can afford for yourself.
But Elias has never been good. Elias has never had to do that. Elias has never spent money.
But if he has the opportunity to do that now, again, if the idea is I don't want to be part of this system, but we still need to win, they do have a window. This is the time.
Oh, it is here.
This is absolutely the time.
And it's also here and now for fan confidence, for subscribers, for money, for people to buy in and say, I got in on the ground floor of the new ownership, right?
So as a casual fan, to back up on the venom a little bit, can I
There's no venom.
No, none
I
whatsoever.
love Allen.
Well, of course.
I hate losing.
Well, that's fair.
There you go.
What's up with left field?
Oh, boy, here we go. I haven't asked you about that. You got anything on that?
They're moving it back in.
Well, it smacks to me of incompetence to move it back and forth and back and forth. It smacks to me of the gamesmanship that it is, that it very obviously is. We're going to move it back. We're going to get pitchers, and then you're going to piss off your own hitters. And now they're, I guess, finding a happy medium? Is that what you would call it?
I mean, let's be clear here. Since they moved it out, they won 83, 101, and 91 games. So I don't know if I'd use the term incompetence. It worked. But yes, you have.
What was the goal for it to work?
If you have any hope of.
They would have won those games. If the fence was in, they would have hit more home runs and given up more, and they would have won a lot. They were really good 2 years ago, dude. That fence didn't help them be better 2 years ago. Stop with that.
It didn't hurt, Nestor. Young pitchers.
Don't tell that to Ryan Mountcastle.
Young pitchers. Ultimately, pitching wins, and this team has pitched well since that wall went out.
So then why move it back in?
Because you do have young players like Mountcastle, like potentially Mayo, like Jordan Westberg. Look, in the first playoff game, and in those two playoff games, there were at least 3 balls that would have gone out of that the old model.
The 364.
That got caught. That's just true. So ultimately, they're trying to find, as you said, a happy medium. Is it going to work? I don't know. But to say that it was incompetent to move the wall out is.
Well, if you change your mind 3 years later, you didn't do the right thing then. They didn't like it.
To make it
you like it more than they did. They moved it again.
To make it the hardest left field in baseball was probably an overcorrection.
I thought it was a ridiculous thing to move it back under the. I mean, it was a John Angelos whim. What'll help us? Let's do that, and let's not do that. To me, this is a correction of the Angelos era. The incompetence to me was Angelos throwing his arms like, let's move the fence back 50 feet. That'll help us. I don't know that they really studied that. I think that they just did it. And certainly from an aesthetic standpoint for the ballpark, it adds nothing, right?
Well, and it's going to look god-awful the way they're doing it now.
That's what I'm saying.
There's no question
That's what
about
Luke
that.
hates about it. Luke hates looking at it. Because it's going to play the same for both teams, no matter what. Over the course of the season, it plays better back if you think you're going to get better pitching. Corbin Burns would like it back, because if you want to sign him, leave it back. Right? I mean,
you would think, yes.
I thought the strangest thing about it, and you brought it up, Mac Campbell is here and Alan McCallum. We're doing the Maryland Crab Cake Tour, a place they don't have a crab cake, but I'm proud of that because it's Amici's and we love it. It's Little Italy. Thank you. The press conference they had was on Friday. It was a Friday afternoon news drop. They were ashamed of moving the wall back. They did it at 3 o'clock on a Friday afternoon, which is when you break news that you don't really want people to know about, right? So I thought that was kind of, that shows me they're still doing business as usual, which is we're going to do the news we don't like on Friday. Nobody will find out that they're moving. Like, if you're proud of the wall, be proud of the wall. But they were a little, I thought the press announcement of it, that you bring it up, was a little bit more like, they moved the wall back. Ha! They hit it on a Friday because they're not proud of it. And I don't, it's been a weird, no other team has moved the wall back and forth 3 times in 3 years. Like that's not normal.
Let's be clear. There are also 2 teams in Major League Baseball going to be playing in minor league ballparks in 2025.
So absolutely.
In the grand scheme of things, the Orioles are still doing okay.
At least they're not in San Juan.
This is what I'm saying.
Or Montreal.
Right.
got an Expos fan. That's it. I'll never get a meatball and a meat cheese again. Mac Campbell, so what's going on at the convention center, dude? I mean, I brought you guys together, and I'll give you a chance to talk some Caps, too, because I know you love the Caps. But your friendship, the city, and he's in D.C., you're in Baltimore. What goes on at the convention center here in the winter? What do you got happening?
Well, I mean, right now we just finished 3 or 4 days of statewide gymnastic competitions. The week before that, we've got cheerleading and dance. We still got conventions coming. I mean, we've got a religious service through the holiday week and into the new year. We're staying busy. It's everything that you wouldn't think. I mean, we have everything from, like I said, gymnastics to.
What's the biggest event that's going to happen in 25?
Oh, I mean, well, goodness gracious.
It used to be the nerds
spot.
would come. Now they go to Philly now, right? What was it called?
Hold on.
Otakon.
Otakon went to D.C.
He's a real nerd, dude. I've been in his house.
Clearly.
Star Wars, all way.
When we get bigger again, Otakon will come back. They've already said they miss Baltimore.
All right,
no
love
offense
this.
to
All
our
right.
friends in D.C.
But that was a big one.
And then we had BronyCon, and they no longer are in existence. And that was Brony. You don't know what Brony is?
My Little Pony?
Yeah.
Yes.
Good stuff.
I don't know anything about it.
The most heartwarming event you've ever seen. I swear to
Tell
God.
me about BronyCon.
So BronyCon, I mean, we're going to the Wayback Machine a little bit, but they're founded by male grown-up enthusiasts of My Little Pony: Friendship is Magic, the rebooted cartoon.
Don't look at me.
Hey, I'm just telling you. Here's what I'll tell you. It was a family event. We brought it was probably 15,000 people. So we're not talking like in your mom's basement.
Man,
like,
My Little Pony's bigger than I thought it was.
Oh, it was huge.
My Little Pony's not little.
And it started by guys, but family. I mean,
How did I know it was My Little Pony? I was hoping I was
so
right.
Brony, right. But yes, and I'll tell you this. In all seriousness, Nestor, it was fascinating because there were a lot of folks, and don't laugh, but there were a lot of people that
I'm
were
smiling.
I know you're holding it in. There are a lot of folks that
Behave.
that were had some social anxiety.
Sure.
There were some folks that were on the spectrum. When you register for BronyCon, they would give you a card, a red, a green, or a yellow card, and you would
Proximity.
You would have it as saying, "Hey, I feel comfortable with if you're green, I would be able to come up and talk to you and do all that kind of stuff."
Oh,
But
okay,
if you're red, you're like,
okay.
"No, I've got some severe."
Kind of like me when people hug me. I don't want to be hugged. I'm a
Right,
fist bumper.
right.
So,
So
what would
maybe-
I be? We're yellow?
Maybe you're a yellow.
I'm yellow,
right?
okay.
But here's what's fascinating is when
Don't call me yellow during Steelers week.
hey. I went. You're watching somebody don their Brony like
And their
helmet.
persona
I don't know.
changes.
And they literally change the card from red to green. It's a completely different thing. Somebody who can't feel like they can be themselves or they're
Oh, they're
like-
more socially integrated.
and you
I
see
got
them all
it. Okay.
because there's a group for everybody. Sometimes it's just harder to find that tribe, and so that was.
I'm
that
going
was
to promise
really
you
cool
for
stuff.
homework tonight.
Okay, I'm
Okay.
ready.
I'm going to Google it.
There's a Netflix special on.
Yeah, there is. Let me tell you something. I'll never forget this as long as I live. There was a day, it was a Sunday, it was like the last day of Otakon, and the Orioles were playing the Oakland A's. And I went from Otakon to the baseball game.
Mm-hmm.
And as I walked across, I got in line to get my tickets, and there are guys laughing at kids and people who are donned in their stuff, their gear, cosplay, and they're laughing at them for what they're doing. And I turn and look at them like, they're all wearing jerseys.
Yeah.
They're all wearing jerseys to somebody's name. Like
You're a
what do you-
50-year-old man
what-
wearing another man's.
what do you
jersey.
think you are?
Yeah.
It's this. You're laughing at yourself and you can't even see it. So I mean, we all are fans of things. It may be
You
different.
want to see my stupid belt buckle today?
Sure.
I wore Tom Petty today for you guys.
what
Tom
are we
Petty
doing
and the
here?
Heartbreakers.
This is
This is
oh,
my
okay.
belt buckle because I have stupid toys.
It's important to be a family show.
So you mentioned having stupid toys. I have my Tom Petty and the
Heartbreakers.
Heartbreakers.
Everybody,
Don't do me like that, Alan.
Everybody compliments me on this jacket. Do you know what this jacket
You got
is?
lucky, babe, when I found you.
This jacket is a replica of Han Solo's jacket from Star Wars, and it
course
looks
it is.
great.
It looks like Tom Petty's jacket into the Great Wide Open video. Is what it looks like to me.
We all smuggle stuff with us on a regular basis.
But anyway,
Anyway, back to BronyCon.
No,
Matt
look,
Campbell's here from the Baltimore Convention Center. So is BronyCon coming?
BronyCon was a volunteer-run organization. It was bringing tens of thousands of people into Baltimore.
And they disbanded.
They disbanded. Otakon is now.
Well, what do these people do without My Little Pony?
That's a legitimate question.
I don't even ask that with a laugh, but
Otakon outgrew us. They started in just a couple meeting rooms in the convention center in the early '90s and got to 35,000 people in Baltimore.
I saw it every year,
and
man.
so they moved to.
My wife
DC.
and I called it Nerd Fest, and you called it Otakon. It's fun. It's beautiful.
And you were able to watch from your condo.
Is it cosplay or cosplay?
Cosplay.
God, I've been saying it wrong.
Yeah.
No wonder. Yeah. Okay.
So they.
I'm learning things today, hanging out with people.
It's kind of like the farm system. You always want to have an event that's small, that has aspirations and
growth
aptitude
potential,
and growth
sure.
potential, and you have to understand that sometimes the natural products or the Otakons are big, 30,000 plus people shows have to go to other grounds, and there's a certain amount of we have to get bigger and we have to get more modern, and we're doing all that stuff, and I could geek out over that all day long, but there's also a sweet spot. And Baltimore is positioned between Philly and DC, and they're huge. We don't need to be huge, too. We just need to be best of our class in this really
Well, you did a long segment with me in August just talking about all the things you guys are doing.
1.2 million square feet still ain't small, and Baltimore's got a wonderful asset. That
you have like a big thing that's coming that's all of the convention, tourist convention people coming here. The convention is going to be in Baltimore, right? They do that right?
ASAE, the
Sounds
Association for Association Executives. That's right.
The Association for Association. That's why I said the convention for convention people, right?
Right. But
Yes.
we've also got, we're also the host for CIAA Fan Fest and all of their engagements. That's not the actual game itself. So we've got that coming up in February. We've hosted the International Association of Venue Managers. Yep. We've done every.
I haven't been to a convention since I got thrown out of the Super Bowl. So I'm hoping when Mr. Rubenstein gives me my pass back, you and I can do the winter meetings together. We'll do a real convention together.
I love it.
Have nerd badges.
And in the meantime, if you
just
wanna
never in
come,
Dallas. I don't go to Dallas.
We just celebrated the 25th anniversary of Baltimore Comic-Con. You could come for the 26th. We could see what kind of cosplay.
So there's a
you've got.
Comic-Con coming.
Oh yeah, we've had Baltimore.
That's
Comic-Con.
That's the big one, right?
I mean, that's the one we still got, and they're well over 10,000 people.
You're thinking
yeah.
about San Diego Comic
No,
Con.
I know that, but this is ours. This is one of the
we've got
bigger ones
too.
you have.
Yes,
here.
absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
We've got, and they're great. And they just had their 25 years in Baltimore. The coin show's been here for 50 years. Like we've got.
I almost went to a record show in Philly 2 weeks ago looking for belt buckles because I like conventions. So when they happen,
went to a record convention.
I was going to go to
a belt buckle?
rock and roll. They're music belt buckles, dude.
Oh, okay, all right.
They sell them. They're vintage.
Okay. I'm just
like
double-checking I
albums are
heard you right.
vintage.
Yeah. No.
Like my hair, 70s. You know what I mean, right?
You know what you need?
What do I need?
You need there's a convention of, I guess, independent toy sellers that get all of the vintage stuff.
Yeah.
And you walk around.
Star Wars guy.
It's a little insane, and it would be amazing at the convention.
It's a grown-up toy show for people like Alan.
Look, I took my kid to the
Remember the
Matchbox
40-year-old virgin guy with the little boxes
Yeah.
with all the toys?
Yeah.
A convention of that.
There is a convention for
There's
every-
got to be a convention for toys,
Oh,
right?
there are 100%.
There are hundreds of
There are several
conventions
really
for
good ones
toys.
at the Maryland Fairgrounds.
Well, then why are you making fun of me for going to a record
That's what
show
I'm
trying to get a belt buckle?
I was trying to understand records and belt buckles.
It's Tom Petty.
Okay. Look.
I'm
he's
trying
awesome.
to find.
He's wonderful.
There's a couple of rare ones. UFO, Blues Brothers,
Oh,
Rainbow.
Does
Rainbow.
the band Asia have any belt buckles?
No, it
I
was
bet
a
theirs
little
are-
later. It was 80, 81. The belt buckles were 76, 77, 78, 79.
Is
Their
the rainbow
artwork
the
was-
giant fist holding the rainbow? Like what is
No,
the
it's
belt
Rainbow the band. It is
Yeah,
the fist.
yeah,
It's the
yeah.
fist rainbow. Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, it's Rainbow. Richie Blackmore.
The
correct.
artwork for the Asia albums is some of the most beautiful stuff I've ever seen. I'd love to get something to represent.
What a lot of nerds do, not BronyCon, collectors do is enthusiasts, right? They'll take a belt buckle and take a thing like the Asia logo and put that down on a belt buckle and make it a
like laminated or something?
no, well, like a self-crafted, homemade kind of, artwork.
Right.
You would buy a belt buckle? Would you wear it?
I would buy one. I would not wear it. I would display it.
Display it. Okay.
Only time will tell.
Like Yoda.
It was the
or
heat of the
something?
moment.
Yeah.
You're leaving
See,
now.
I knew I get it. All right, so Orioles, we're going to get together in 2 months, you and me. What do you expect? When they go to spring training, not names, but like what do they need to do? For me, it's still the bullpen.
They absolutely.
And I don't know from a position. They have so many young players. This thing with Santander or even Mountcastle, I'm okay with the change part of that if you're replacing it. If you really think spending $50 million on the Red Sox outfielder is going to make your defense better, get similar offense. He's not going to be hurt. If he's hurt, it's bad money.
Look, they lost Bautista last year. He's going to come back. We'll see if he's the same. I'm sure they're banking on that. But they've lost McCallum and Webb. They absolutely need to fortify the bullpen, period. There are guys still out there, whether it's Sean Manaea, Walker Buehler. I would love to have Walker Buehler here that they can spend money on, not crazy money, but representative money with guys who've actually won that can help fortify this rotation. They still need a number one starter. We'll see what happens.
Would you make it a Japanese kid? I mean, how do you even evaluate that?
I mean, that happened late last night. There's been the sizzle reel of him striking out guys who've seen him for the first time in the WBC. I don't know. He had a great year last year. All the numbers in Japan say he's the real thing. He's 35, so I'm not expecting him to be Corbin Burns next year. But I think he can probably get people out. We'll see what happens. They need a guy at the top of the rotation that has experience. Walker Buehler would fit that to me. They need another right-handed hitting outfielder with some dynamics. I still think Anthony Santander fits well for them. There's only one guy in the last 2 years when they've won 101 and 91 games who has been an anchor in the middle of the lineup, and his name is Anthony Santander. And ultimately, you could say Gunnar.
He's being disrespected. I don't think there's any question about that.
I think he's a much better player than the Orioles think he is, and the rest of the league thinks he is. That said, if you're going to tell me that he's not going to come back, they need to find another quality right-handed hitting outfielder. And you don't want names, but if Lane Thomas is available from the Cleveland Guardians, that's the guy I'd go get, because I think he's a secret quality player. He can run, he can hit for power. He fills a lot of spaces for that team. So right-handed hitting outfielder, they need to make a decision about whether Kobe Mayo, what Heston Kjerstad and Kobe Mayo are going to be for this team. I will tell you, I know Mike Elias is in love with Ryan O'Hearn. I think Ryan O'Hearn is a pinch hitter who had one really good year. We'll see what he is. He's certainly, the money makes sense for him, but I think he's blocking Heston Kjerstad's spot on this team.
Well, the roster spot is the issue there.
He's blocking Heston Kjerstad's spot on this team, in my opinion. If they're going to put Kjerstad in right field in place of Santander, okay. But they don't have enough right-handed presence on this team right now. They need to get that. So bullpen, number one starter, or top of the rotation starter, I'll say it that way, and a right-handed hitting outfielder is really – another right-handed hitting outfielder is what this team needs. And veteran experience matters. I mean, they brought in Robinson Chirinos as a coach. Great. All I heard about for the last 2 years is that James McCann was the backbone of this team, and he's been summarily dismissed. So I'm sorry. I don't know that there's anyone to replace that, and this team needs veteran leadership. They absolutely do. It's great to have the thing that I've heard that really speaks to me is that when teams win, you have young guys who play like veterans and veterans who have young guy years, and there's a chemistry to that. Yes, the Dodgers won with 3 MVPs and a lot of talent, and the Orioles aren't spending like that. So do things that make sense for you. You can win with this core of young players and veterans around the margins with 1 or 2 people to anchor the team who have won. And I'm talking about I would love to see Corbin Burns back. I don't believe giving any pitcher 8 years, an 8-year contract makes sense. I don't. But if you're going to buy a team, if you're a billionaire and you're going to buy a major league team and you actually want to win,
you got to do it.
You got to. There's some things you have to do.
Yeah, got to do something.
So,
Alan McCallum, our longtime Oriole reporter, Mac Campbell here from the Baltimore Convention. Last thing, Mac, little Capitals, because I don't get a lot of Capitals in. How many games you going to? And you must be shocked that they're playing like this, right? So I mean, it's been a shocking beginning for the Caps, as well as not so shocking for the Wizards, by the way.
That's about right. I've been a season ticket holder for 20 years, so I've been pretty invested and gone through some really
you go to every game?
Lean years. No, I don't have the ability to do that, but I go to more than half of them, and I only sell my extras to red-wearing Capitals fans. I don't let Penguin fans get into my seats or anything like that. But no, I think we were at a crossroads last year, taking a look at well, what are we going to do with the last 2 years of Ovi, right? 3 years.
Well, I mean, I looked at it and just thought they can't win again, and I'm wrong about that. They have retooled this, that they're good enough at the quarter pole to look at it and say, well, they're going to make the playoffs. I mean, they're a really good team.
So in 2005, they sold the Yoggers and all the old heads and reloaded with a farm system that went through some not so great years. But then you saw the emergence of a Mike Green and Ovi and Nick Backstrom, and then you had that Rock the Red era that led to a Stanley Cup title, right? So they were like, well, we got to break up the band in some. I mean, Nicky's out with forever with a hip. Oshie's out with a back. And last year they had a new coach, young coach, trying to figure out. I mean,
we're 7 years out of them winning the cup at this point,
I know,
right?
It's crazy,
so the fact that you're mentioning these names of the players who were core to that.
Wilson's still there. Carlson's still there. They just brought back Lars Eller. I mean, there's still a core there that remembers the taste of it.
This speaks to Allen when the Orioles win the World Series this year. That 6 years from now we'll still have Westberg. We'll still, but that was the kind of core that was there,
lips to God's
right?
ears.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you look at the Ravens and how they failed in this era. Humphrey, Stanley, throw Lamar in there. Those guys have never won big playoff games. I mean, they just haven't. Yeah. They've been like the Caps, just disappointing, except for the one breakthrough year. You only have to break through 1 year and they remember it.
What Washington did, and I won't say it was the only reason, but they brought in 2 multi-Stanley Cup winning players from the Penguins. They brought in Brooks Orpik and Matt Niskanen, and it changed the locker room chemistry, right? They had a great room, but they didn't have that like, we can get this.
Niskanen was tough, dog.
Right?
Yeah.
And so now
I covered that team. I was a real media member then.
Oh, really? The Penguins? Yeah. You covered the Penguins?
No, I covered the Caps.
I
covered the Caps.
I was going to say.
The Orpik, the Niskanen, I was in the middle of that when that deal happened.
Veteran presence matters.
And now you've got Wilson, you've got Ovi, you've got that core presence that's been there, and you've got a coach that's really smart. You've got a bunch of guys like McMichael and other youth that are. I know this is Baltimore, and I'm getting into.
No, I was at Cooper's North the night that they opened the season. My wife and I were there, and they were doing all the old timers were there, the old players. I was really into that, and then I looked on the bench, and I'm like, who the hell are these guys? I haven't watched hockey in 6 years. I just stopped. I mean, once Zach Leone just had a phone call with me and told me he was not really appreciative of all I'd done for the Caps, I thought, I'll do nothing for the Caps. How about that? Because I've been doing it for 40 years. I'm done. So I literally, the last time I have watched any hockey at all, and I mean Stanley Cup, any of that, was when I walked out of the building in Las Vegas 6.5 years ago. I walked out. I haven't watched a hockey game.
There is good.
And I mean, I haven't at all watched any hockey of any kind. Not even in the corner of my. It was on in Cooper's that night.
That's sad. Because you love hockey, right?
Yeah.
I love baseball. I love football, but I'm 56 and I'm tired of
Yeah.
You are less than a year away from watching history with Alex Ovechkin, though. So I mean, you're gonna.
No, you are a year. I watched Gretzky. I'm good. I saw Lemieux. I'm good. But I saw Bobby Orr.
But it's a team you covered. You wouldn't want to be interested in seeing Ovechkin. It
was a team I loved. It was a team I loved. The Caps.
Oh, okay. So you've just said, and Ovi.
I'm tired of loving things that don't love me back.
But Ovi,
I love my cat. It loves me back. That's why I love it more.
Don't blame Ovi. Ovi doesn't have.
Ovi was always cool to me. I was cool with Ovi.
So root him on. Come on, let's go.
I am rooting for him.
Okay, good.
No, I'm not.
Come to a game with me, Nestor.
Yeah.
It's fun.
When are the Preds in? You're telling me a hockey game's fun? What?
Absolutely.
Best live sport there is.
Hockey's the greatest game.
Oh,
no, hockey's the best game. We're not going to go there, are we? So I've said this. You haven't done any radio with me, and this guy's done thousands of hours of radio with me. I've said this to anybody, and he was one of the guys back in the 90s when the Caps were playing in the finals against the Red Wings. I went down to those games. I wore a Red Wing jersey at that game. And that was because of Ted Leone, who was a jerk to me. That was 28 years ago. You never got the hockey thing. You never understood the hockey thing, like all of that. And I always say to my wife, who I met at a hockey game, by the way, I never had hockey friends. Phil Jackman, who, by the way, we lost Phil's wife, Tina. She was buried today.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Tina died over the weekend. I haven't even mentioned it on the radio yet, but she was buried this morning. Phil died 6 weeks ago, so they died 6 weeks apart after being married for 60 years, So, but Phil was my hockey friend because I didn't have any hockey friends. I grew up in Dundalk. None of my beer drinking Dundalk goons, none of them liked hockey. I when I had Howard on, and you love Howard.
Yeah.
Howard did my show 3 months ago. We were talking about him being my only hockey friend in the world. And I said, when I went to Skipjack games, I was there alone covering the team, but I didn't know anybody because I didn't have any guy in the neighborhood that would even just get in the car. You just said to me, you want to go to the game? Like, it would be an outlier for me to go to a Caps game or whatever. But that's what hockey was. When you would say, you want to go to Skipjack game? Nah, I don't like hockey. Play on skate. I base-ball. Whatever it is, I love hockey. I always loved hockey. And my pimp for it is this. And I said this for years and years and years to anybody that didn't like hockey, especially in the light of a Game 7 or a playoff game. I'd say Game 7's better than sex. I'd say that all the time. That was my line back in the 90s. And people wouldn't like hockey. And I said, if you were a Martian from another planet, pick any planet, Venus, Saturn, and you came to Earth, and I was going to show you a sport, any sport. Pick a sport. Rugby, football, golf. Pick any sport you want. Olympic sports. Hockey's the best sport. Like, if you just were to sit and watch the action and the way the game moves, hockey's the most exciting sport. Without jerseys, without colors, without anything.
So
if you were going to go and have the excitement of the puck always moving and the speed of the game
I understand.
and like all of that, hockey is a beautiful game.
I understand the motion, the constant movement, action. I get that.
You do understand they're better athletes than any of the other athletes, too. I'll make that argument all day long, too.
That's fine. I understand.
Because I've been in locker rooms and I've seen them on bikes and I see their the heart rate, and they are the best athletes that I ever covered, hockey players.
I love the cerebral nature of baseball. I love the action that's happening when nothing is going on. I loved watching Cal Ripken
But
play.
nobody's putting an elbow up in the ear in the corner in the hockey.
Hey, man, I'll tell you what, roller derby, you want to see something. I mean, roller derby is as crazy as anything I've ever seen.
But that's fake. Don't tell that to the girls that are playing.
Don't tell it to I've gone
I wish I knew
times.
the name of the great roller derby, the legendary woman. What was her name?
I'm completely out of my
She's like a fabulous moolah, but of roller derby,
All right.
you know?
All I'm saying is
Hold
that
on.
I get it.
I want to figure out who she. Did you ever watch roller derby when you were a kid?
No, but
I did.
I've gone 2 or 3 times.
Charm City?
In my mid 30s, mid 40s. I mean, it's wild. Look, my dad and I
Googled roller derby queen and Jim Croce showed up. So I'm sorry.
When I was a kid, my dad and I would go to sort of 5 sports maybe a year that were not baseball, and that was a combination of the skipjacks and the blast.
The greatest roller derby skater of all time was the great Bonnie Thunders.
Okay.
Known as Bonnie Thunders, widely considered to be the greatest of modern roller derby. She's been referred to as the LeBron James of roller derby. There you have it. Oh, then there was Roller Derby Girl from Boogie Nights.
Right.
Great movie.
Oh, what a great movie. Some of my finest work.
Best ending of any film in history, maybe.
Absolutely. Are you guys done with me? Because I got to be done. I promised Demetrius to get out of here, and we're stirring up the bar here. We're turning the marinara sour.
I appreciate.
Can't have that.
I'm glad that you surprised us because we were not going to get together before the new year.
Keep smiling, keep shining, knowing you will.
This guy's been here.
Yeah. There you go. All right.
This guy's been around through a lot of stuff.
Mac Campbell runs the Baltimore Convention Center. If you come down to the Convention Center, see the cute guy with the tie and the nice beard. Alan McCallum is down at the Kennedy Center, where I did not get my invite to the honors a couple of weeks ago. The great Bonnie Raitt was there, from what I understand.
I wasn't there.
Oh, okay.
Well, and you can come to the Baltimore Convention Center, Nestor, anytime you want. We have about $35 million worth of capital upgrades going in right now.
What is that going to mean for me? Nicer carpet?
Everything. Nicer everything. We're reestablishing ourselves.
It's like a Jerry Seinfeld. More of anything, more of everything.
That's right.
I'm going to meet you, so I can take what I want.
We should have you live from the convention center.
Well, happy Christmas to both of you.
And to you.
I like you both. I'm glad that your friendship has brought you together here again at Amici's on the airwaves.
My son's middle name is Alan because of him.
My son's middle name is Alan.
Is that right?
A-L-A-N.
My sister asked me the other day, like, how old is Barry's kid? And I was like, he's 40.
No, Nestor's kid is Barry.
Oh, Nestor's kid.
Barry didn't have any kids. Let's stop with that. That would be how old is Nestor's grandkid, and that would put me on the floor having a heart attack.
Nestor's kid is 40, and she's like, what? It's like, I've known Nestor for that's how it happened. I've known Nestor for almost 30 years.
Because Barry was 10 on your lap, right? Yeah. Howard Scher loves to tell the story of my son on his lap when he was 4 years old at skipjack games.
There it is.
Barry would say, Howard, can I sit on your lap? Sure, Barry, sit on my lap. Now Barry's, grown-ass man. What are you going to do? Merry Christmas. Love you.
And to you.
Be good.
Merry Christmas,
Mac Campbell,
brother.
Baltimore Convention Center, Alan McCallum, my forever baseball reporter.
Don't tell Luke that.
I know. You and Luke ever done a segment together with me?
No, and I'm angry that has not happened.
I was going to try to do it today because, you were coming.
But this magic is
Oh, no, I'm not saying.
Have you met Luke?
Yeah, of course I have. Of course.
How many times have you been in a room with Luke? Not a lot. Not
15
enough.
15 times.
All right, but you've never done radio together.
No.
All right, I'm going to tell Luke
We
this.
should make that happen.
All right. Crab Cake Tour. Once the Orioles sign, I'm going to make some ridiculous name up here. Corbin Burns. I don't know.
Sure.
I was going to say Soto, but he already signed. That was my joke in October, November. It's over with now.
I would love to sit and have multiple chats with Luke Jones. He's a smart
And the
coach.
night that Ovechkin breaks the record, I'll go with you.
Thank
all right?
you. All right. Yeah. Okay.
I knew
Twist
that
your
would
arm.
get a laugh.
Twist your arm.
We're all down here courtesy of the Maryland Lottery. These folks that have been subjected to us here at Amici's are going to get free scratch-offs. They're not even going to get the $2. They're going to get the $5 holiday scratch-offs that Seth brought me here to double the luck, Randy. Maybe they win 50 large and buy the meatballs. Why do a crab cake tour stop at a place that doesn't have a crab cake? Because it's Amici's. We're in Little Italy. It's all brought to you by the lottery as well as our friends at Jiffy Lube. I am Nestor. That's Mac. That's Alan. We're back for more on WNST. Stay with us. Happy holidays.